All right, so get this, listeners. We got some research on cancer metastasis, and let me tell you, this stuff is wild.
It is.
We're diving deep into a paper called On the Origin of Cancer Metastasis.
Right.
And it might just change how we think about cancer. Completely.
It really does challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
You see, for decades, the focus has been on those initial genetic mutations in cancer cells.
Uh-huh.
But what if the real key to stopping metastasis lies not in the genes themselves,
Okay.
but in the cellular environment?
Hold on, back up a sec.
Sure.
For those of us who haven't spent their days staring through microscopes, remind me, what exactly is metastasis?
Metastasis is essentially cancer's grand escape act.
Okay.
It's when those rebellious cancer cells break free from the original tumor
Right.
and embark on a journey through the body, setting up shop in distant organs.
Oh, wow.
It's the reason why cancer becomes so deadly, accounting for a staggering 90% of cancer deaths.
90%? That's seriously scary stuff.
It is.
So what have scientists been doing about this?
Well, there's been a lot of focus on understanding how cancer cells morph and migrate, like with the epithelial mesenchymal transition, or EMT.
EMT?
Yeah, it's thought that cancer cells can shape-shift, becoming more mobile to travel through the bloodstream.
So they're like tiny cellular chameleons, blending in and hitching a ride to a new location.
That's the general idea.
Yes.
But there's a catch.
Oh.
While EMT is observed in lab settings, it's not so clear-cut in living organisms. And even more perplexing. Once these runaway cells reach their destination, they need to revert back to their original form to build a new tumor. The how and why of that reversal, called SDP, is still a bit of a mystery.
Okay, so maybe EMT isn't the whole story.
Right.
What are some of the other theories out there?
Another popular theory is the cancer stem cell hypothesis.
Okay.
It suggests that within tumors, there are these special cells, kind of like the VIPs, with stem cell-like properties, capable of self-renewal and differentiation.
So they're like the masterminds behind the whole operation.
Yeah,
calling the shots and orchestrating the spread.
You could say that.
Okay.
However, this theory also has its limitations.
All right.
Not all tumors with stem cell properties actually metastasize. Which suggests there's more to the story.
Okay, so we've got shape-shifting cells, stem cell masterminds.
Right.
And we haven't even touched on those macrophage helpers you mentioned.
Yes.
What's their role in all of this?
Yes, macrophages.
Okay.
These fascinating immune cells are like the body's cleanup crew.
Okay.
They're constantly patrolling and engulfing debris and foreign invaders.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, we often find them hanging around in tumors.
So they're in the tumor's vicinity.
Right.
But are they helping or hindering the cancer spread?
Well, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Some researchers believe that macrophages might be inadvertently aiding the tumor's growth by creating a favorable environment and even helping cancer cells escape.
Oh, wow.
Think of them like unwitting accomplices.
Okay.
Perhaps clearing a path for the cancer cells to spread.
So EMT might not be the main driver.
Right.
Cancer stem cells might not be the only culprits.
Yes.
And macrophages might be playing a more complex role than we initially thought.
Exactly.
Sounds like we've hit a bit of a dead end with these conventional theories.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
This paper we're exploring proposes a radical new theory that flips the script entirely.
Right.
It suggests that what we think of as metastatic cancer cells might actually originate from macrophages themselves.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You're telling me that the very cells that are supposed to protect us
Uh-huh.
could be the ones turning against us?
That's right.
That's wild.
This is a bold idea, I know.
Yeah.
But hear me out.
Okay.
There's actually quite a bit of evidence that supports this macrophage theory of metastasis. And it all starts with understanding just how incredible macrophages really are.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about these rogue macrophages.
So macrophages are like the nomads of the cellular world. They can travel throughout the body, slipping in and out of tissues with ease.
Okay.
They're also incredibly adaptable, changing their behavior depending on their environment.
So they're already doing half the work that metastatic cancer cells need to do right. Moving around, infiltrating tissues, it's all part of their normal gig.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more intriguing.
Okay.
Macrophages and metastatic cancer cells share some peculiar similarities.
Uh-huh.
Both are known to be phagocytic.
Okay.
Meaning they can engulf and devour other cells and debris.
So they were like tiny Pac-Man munching their way through the body.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
They also exhibit a behavior called fusogenic, meaning they can fuse with other cells.
Okay.
Kind of like merging two bubbles into one.
Yeah.
And remember that melanoma study we sent over? It showed melanoma cells actually consuming T cells.
Right.
The very immune cells that are supposed to be destroying them.
Now that you mention it, that study was mind-blowing. Talk about turning the tables on the immune system.
Right.
But how do we know macrophages are actually turning into these metastatic cells and not just hanging around them?
That's a great question, and that's where the evidence gets really compelling.
Okay.
Many metastatic cancers express markers, like specific proteins on their surface that are typically found on macrophages.
Okay.
It's almost as if they're carrying a cellular ID card that says, macrophage turned rogue.
So it's not just that they behave similarly, they actually have some of the same identifying features.
Right.
But how does this theory explain why certain cancers seem to prefer spreading to specific organs, like breast cancer often spreading to the bones?
This is where the seed and soil hypothesis comes in.
Okay.
Just like plants have preferred growing conditions. Certain types of cells, including macrophages, tend to gravitate towards specific tissues in the body. They have their own little neighborhoods they like to hang out in.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all connects. So let's say a macrophage, for whatever reason, goes rogue in the breast. And because macrophages have a natural affinity for bone tissue, it's like they're setting up shop in a familiar environment, making it easier for the cancer to take root.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And here's another clue that points to macrophages being at the heart of this mystery.
Okay.
Plant tumors called crown galls don't metastasize.
Okay.
And guess what?
What?
Plants don't have macrophages.
Whoa. You're telling me the absence of macrophages in plants might be the reason their tumors stay put?
It could be a big...
That's a pretty big piece of the puzzle. But if macrophages are the key, what's triggering them to go rogue in the first place?
That's the question researchers are trying to answer. And this is where the macrophage theory takes a radical departure from traditional thinking.
Okay.
It shifts the focus away from purely genetic causes and points the finger at a metabolic culprit, specifically respiratory insufficiency in macrophages.
Wait, so you're saying these macrophages might be struggling to breathe? And that's what's driving them to become metastatic?
That's the hypothesis.
Wow.
Remember, cancer cells are notorious for creating a chaotic environment. Often starved of oxygen and nutrients. Macrophages, being the dutiful first responders, rush in to clean up the mess. But in this toxic environment, their own metabolism can get thrown out of whack, leading to a state of respiratory distress.
So it's not just that the cancer cells are spreading. It's that the very environment they create is turning our own immune cells against us?
Exactly.
This is getting really dark. But okay, let's say this theory is true.
Okay.
How does it change how we think about treating metastatic cancer?
If rogue macrophages are the main drivers of metastasis, then we need to develop therapies that target their unique vulnerabilities.
Okay.
And that's where understanding their metabolic quirks becomes crucial.
So instead of just carpet bombing cancer cells with chemo, we could develop more targeted strategies that focus on these rogue macrophages.
Exactly. Remember how we talked about macrophages being like little Pac-Man?
Yeah.
Well, they have a voracious appetite for certain fuels like glucose and glutamine.
So it's like finding their Achilles heel.
Exactly.
If we can cut off their favorite snacks, maybe we can stop them in their tracks.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And there's already some promising research to support this approach.
Oh, really?
The authors of this paper tested a special diet in mice with metastatic cancer.
Okay.
That restricted both glucose and glutamine, along with overall calorie intake.
Did it work? Spilled the beans.
It did. The results were pretty remarkable, actually. Restricting those key fuels was much more effective at blocking metastasis than traditional chemo drugs like methotrexate or cisplatin.
Wait, so changing what these cells eat could be more effective than those powerful chemo drugs we've been relying on for so long.
It's certainly a compelling finding. Of course, more research is needed to see how this translates to humans.
Right.
But it opens up a whole new avenue for treatment that's potentially less toxic and more targeted.
Yeah. I have to admit, I'm starting to feel a glimmer of hope here.
Yeah.
This macrophage theory is mind-boggling.
It is.
But it also offers a fresh perspective on a problem that has plagued us for far too long.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if macrophages can turn rogue in the context of cancer.
Right.
Could something similar be happening in other diseases?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I mean, if these macrophages are going rogue in tumors,
right,
could they be causing trouble elsewhere in the body?
That's what's so fascinating about this theory. It has implications that reach far beyond cancer. Think about chronic inflammatory diseases. Like heart diseases, Alzheimer's.
Or even autoimmune disorders.
So you're saying that in those conditions, macrophages could be going haywire and actually contributing to the problem.
Right.
Not just responding to it.
It's a hypothesis worth investigating, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What if these metabolically challenged macrophages are a common thread in a whole range of diseases? This paper opens up a Pandora's box of possibilities. Really challenging us to rethink how we view inflammation and its role in chronic illness.
This is why I love these deep dives.
Right.
We started with this one paper on cancer metastasis.
Right.
And now we're talking about a potential paradigm shift in how we understand disease as a whole.
It's incredible, isn't it? This macrophage theory is a powerful reminder that science is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
We're always uncovering new layers of complexity, new connections, new possibilities. And it's those unexpected twists and turns that make the journey of scientific discovery so thrilling.
Absolutely. So for those of us who are now completely captivated by this rogue macrophage theory, what's the next step? Where do we go from here?
Well, the most important thing is to stay curious and keep learning.
Okay.
As with any groundbreaking scientific theory, more research is needed to confirm these findings and explore the full extent of their implications. But this paper definitely provides a strong foundation for future investigations.
We'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this research and all the exciting developments to come.
Yeah.
And for our listeners who want to dive deeper into the nitty-gritty details, we've included links to the full scientific paper and other resources in the show notes.
I highly encourage everyone to check those out. It's a fascinating read, even if you don't have a background in biology.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of metastasis macrophages and the metabolic underpinnings of disease. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling energized and inspired to keep exploring the mysteries of the human body.
Me too. It's a reminder that even in the face of complex challenges like cancer, there's always hope for new discoveries and innovative solutions.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of scientific exploration. Until next time, stay curious and keep those questions coming.